So in this segment, we're going to do another video on the Tories struggling to defend Lee Anderson's comments, and it's very obvious to see why. Because if they do explain why Lee Anderson had the whip removed, they'd probably have to do the same to Liz Truss and Suella Braverman. But this is just fun. These videos are just fun of politicians just fumbling. So let's have a listen.
Necessary for Lee Anderson to have the whip suspended. Where was the tolerance there?
Well, Nick, respectfully, I think what Lee said was wrong.
Yes.
And as a result of what he said, he had the whip removed from him. That's
But
robust
what was it
action.
specifically that meant the whip had to go? We agree it was wrong, but why was it wrong?
That's the killer question right there, the one the Tories cannot answer.
Nick, it was wrong. What Lee
but why was
said,
it wrong?
What he said was wrong. As a result of what he said, the whip was removed from him. That was robust action.
No,
that was
why
robust
was it
action
wrong?
that was
That's
taken.
what I'm trying to get at.
It was wrong, Nick, because of what he said, and robust action was taken as a result.
You're well-educated. Let's try this a different way.
It's painful. It's just so painful, isn't it? Why was it wrong? Well, Nick, what he said was wrong, and he was punished for that. It's just like I know politicians, especially it feels like now, just have an absolute problem with acknowledging the question, and they keep wanting to answer, their own question, which is, oh well, it's been dealt with in the strongest way possible, and blah blah blah. Like, it's just bad. It just makes you look so dumb.
Is it Islamophobic?
What he said was wrong, and robust action was taken, and the whip was removed within 24 hours.
Minister, was it Islamophobic?
Nick, it was wrong.
Minister, I'm going to, and I'm normally a very polite man. I'm actually going to effectively put the fact. I'll ask you now for the third time. I've asked you 6 times why it was necessary. For the third time, was it Islamophobic?
Nick, it was wrong.
I'll have to curtail the interview there.
This is what I mean. This is what Jenna should be doing more of. I think Mehtizan's really good at it, and there's a few others that are as well. Was just stick with the question. Just stick with the question. He's failing to answer it. Make him look stupid. Just keep saying, look, are you going to answer the question or not? And this guy looked incredibly dumb. He looked very nervous the way he's like sipping his water or his tea, and he just kept going back to the same talking point. He looked incredibly stupid. But I think it's not worth. Maybe it's not worth hanging up the phone on him. But I think he could have expanded it into, well, why were Suella Braverman treated differently? And I think that's what Kay Burley does here.
Okay, is there any point in me even asking you whether Lee Anderson's comments were racist?
They were completely wrong.
Were they racist?
They were completely wrong. I think he should apologise, which he hasn't done yet, because the way he characterised Sadiq Khan was unfair and inaccurate. I think public figures should seek to unite.
This is what I mean. I think that's one of the reasons why he was suspended and Braverman wasn't, was because he specifically mentioned Sadiq Khan. Anderson did, whereas Suella Braverman didn't.
Rather than divide communities. There is a lot to attack Sadiq Khan about. Right, his terrible record on crime being one thing, knife crime.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a terrible record on crime. I think other cities have way bigger per capita crime problems than just London. That's because you guys cut policing.
Crime's gone up in London, it's gone down in the rest of the country. His record on transport is terrible, the ULEZ is terrible. But what Lee Anderson said...
ULEZ is the policy that you made him implement.
...about him, I don't think was accurate, fair or appropriate.
Why is it that Number 10 Downing Street doesn't want anybody representing them to come on television and say that his comments were racist?
Because they've made very clear, the Prime Minister has, I think, been asked about this, and he's obviously the government's principal spokesman. He's made very clear that what Lee Anderson said was wrong. I think it merits an apology. He conflated Islamism, which is a form of extremism, with Muslims as a whole. And in fact, very often, Muslims are the victims themselves of Islamist extremism.
It's literally what Braverman did, but okay.
And he's withdrawn, and critically, the Prime Minister withdrew the whip, right? He withdrew the whip almost immediately. That is a contrast to the dithering which we saw from Keir Starmer when he had that incident in Rochdale, when it took him days and days and days.
He's not withdrawn the whip from Liz Truss, though. He's not withdrawn the whip from Liz Truss. Should he?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't think she's done anything wrong.
She didn't step in when the person on the stage with her said that Tommy Robinson was a hero.
Yeah, well, he's clearly not. But I don't think you can attack someone for a sin of...
I would have spoken about Braverman. I don't know why she didn't go for Braverman, to be honest, at that point.
Omission. And we don't know what the circumstances of that were.
She also criticised the Conservative Party and supported other parties, which is also against the rules.
Well, I haven't heard that quote. I mean, she's a Conservative,
Please, journalists, don't give them the out. Just have the quote ready.
and I'm sure she'll be campaigning as hard as the rest of us for a Conservative government to stop the Labour Party, who have clearly got no plan whatsoever, from winning the next election.
He doesn't look very sure of himself, does he, in that last bit? And this is the answer here from Sam Coates, which this is really some good analysis here.
So they're very happy to go with the W word, but they won't take it any further than
W word being wrong.
that.
And I think viewers at home might be scratching their heads. Here is an incident where the prominent Tory backbencher is suspended for comments about Sadiq Khan, and yet on the interview with you this morning, they won't condemn it outright and won't call it racist. Why is that? Well, I think I've got a clue, Kay. That's because not everybody in the Tory party appears to be on board with this decision. I got some leaked WhatsApps last night from other Tories in the Red Wall.
Why are the Tories still using WhatsApp? They just keep getting leaked to Sam Coates.
Let me read you some of them. They're from what's known as the 109 group. That's the group of Tory MPs elected in 2019 when Boris Johnson was Tory leader. One of them, in response to Nigel Farage's call for Lee Anderson to join the Reform Party and, quote, destroy the Tories, Conservative MP for Ipswich, Tom Hunt, writes, this isn't good at all. Hartlepool MP Jill Mortimer then shared messages from constituents saying that she would not vote Tory again and quoted Lee Anderson's suspension is the final nail in the party's coffin. Then Peter Gibson, the MP for Darlington, says the inbox is very positive for Lee. In other words, the Prime Minister and his ministers are walking a tightrope. They've suspended Lee Anderson.
It's because their Tory base, a lot of the Tory base supports Islamophobia. That's why. That's why they don't want to go further than this, because they suspended him because of his attacks were specifically around one person. But they are in trouble when their base predominantly supports this, especially when they're hemorrhaging support to Reform UK. So it must hurt.
Stings, doesn't it?
When your base is full of a bunch of rabid racists. They put you in a position where you can't discipline your MPs for making racist statements because your base supports the racist statements, or at least some of the base support the racist statements.
Stings, doesn't it?
But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.